Hello everybody, my name is Cyrus Bates, and today I'm going to be talking about the death sentencing. In America, we uphold the law to the highest extent and punish criminals for the crimes they commit. These punishments include prison time from anywhere to 15 years to multiple lifetime period sentencings. And the other not so popular option for punishment is the death sentencing, which is a more efficient technique in many ways, such as a quick, easy, and painless death versus prison for life. It is more cost efficient, and it makes a harder statement about the severity of crime punishment. First off, there are many popular myths about the death sentencing. When people who are uneducated about death sentencing hear that term, they tend to think of things in the past like death row wall execution styles or torture systems / methods that cause inhumane pain to the victims. This information is all false. The death sentencing is a lethal injection into the body that causes a quick, easy, and painless death to the victim. The death sentence is a more humane choice and should be considered more often because it prevents a criminal from rotting away in a cell with the possibility of going crazy, and it prevents them from dangers of other inmates who can do harm and potentially kill them in a more cruel way once they get to an older age where they can't defend themselves. The government is tasked with no easy chore of ending a life humanely. The manner in which the government approaches this task is one of the procedural conformities as means of justification. In order to invoke a sense of humanity and justice, these procedures must be strict and coherent. This is the duty of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. There is a total of 8 steps that are carried out when performing the death sentence. The first begins the procedure upon notification of the execution date. The second procedural step corresponds to the stage of execution. The third is the preparation of the execution summary and packet as well as the day of the execution. The qualification and training required by the drug team is stated in the fourth procedural step. The fifth step lists pre-execution procedures. The sixth step covers the setup preparations for lethal injection. And the seventh gives strict guidelines as to the execution procedures. Finally, the 8th step covers the confidentiality of the employee participants involved in the execution process. The execution procedure for the state of the Texas can be found at deathpenaltyinfo.org. The death sentence is also a slightly more cost-efficient punishment. According to the National Archive, the average cost for housing alone for a prisoner each year costs around $31,977. These numbers multiply 20 to 50 times because of how long they would live in the prison cells, coming out to a total of $1,595,650 when sentencing for life. While the average overall cost of a death sentence only costs around $1.2 million according to deathpenalty.org. The cost of a prisoner is more because of the living expenses including meal costs, clothing, and other necessities when being sentenced for life. Even though the death sentence costs slightly less than imprisoning a person for life, it has a much bigger effect on people's way of thinking when it comes to committing crimes. This past year there's only been 25 death sentences, while there has been 5 times more homicides and murders. We need to consider more death sentencing to scare criminals into not committing a murder. This will benefit us as a country by showing more authority and less leeway for criminals to do as they please without having a maximum punishment. The way I see it is that if another person thinks they have the ability to choose whether a person lives or dies, and they choose willingly and knowingly to kill them, then why do they get to live, and we may have to make up our minds if they should die or to live in a cell? The answer is simple in the old law: an eye for an eye, which in other words means the punishment equal to the crime. Today I explain why the death sentencing should be used more because of the method and how it kills the victim along with the procedures to prevent inhumane torture, why it is more cost efficient than locking them up for life, and the impact on how more death sentencings could better our country by lowering homicides and murder rates. Thank you. That is all I have for today.
5 seconds.